Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. Today's vlog is another lesson in why it's not easy to be me. Yesterday was almost like, Groundhog Day or something. Like, I told you first Monday I had that jury duty and it just went south all day long. Nothing went right all day. Well, yesterday was kind of a repeat, but just not at the courthouse. So I'll explain that to you. I've got, I think, 4 video clips to show you, 3 of which will definitely indicate why it's not easy to be me. But before we get into that, I'll just give you another reminder that tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock p.m., we will have our first mandolin training lesson live. Again, the format's going to be about 30 minutes of me preaching and then about 30 minutes of questions and answers. So we'll see how that goes. I've already been studying up, so I'm hoping I'm going to, hit on all cylinders when we get started. I hope it goes that way. We'll see. Yeah, well, let's just start off with something easy like a water wheel video. Why not? Well, it's Wednesday morning. It hasn't rained since Saturday, so you can see the water flow has slowed down some, but the machine is still revolving properly. So everything's good on the water wheel. I'm very pleased with it. You can see the water flow is back down to about normal. Might even still be just a hair higher than normal, but that's good. I'm really happy with it. I can't wait to get started on the building, but there are so many other problems in front of it. There's just not enough of me to go around. That's what the real issue is. You can see up here, this flow has slowed down quite a bit, but it's looking good. Beautiful morning. I'm supposed to be retired and relaxing, but with all these issues and things to do, it's difficult to relax. That's foreshadowing. Oh my gosh. Yesterday was just it was aggravating. That's all I can tell you. And here was aggravation number 1. And then it's almost like this morning, it just added insult to injury. And I'll explain that in a minute here. My friends, things did not go as I planned yesterday. This throttle body here, especially this electrical component, this is your throttle position sensor. Yeah, that's weird. You know what? I ran it without this connected yesterday, didn't realize it. It seems like it ran just fine after all the trouble. I don't even know where to go with that now. This is a tool to set this position, and it's very complicated. It's got something to do with the throttle here that you can adjust up here too. Anyway, it's very complicated. To try to do it just by hand without this tool, I'd say you have a 1 in 1,000 chance of getting it right. With this tool, you are actually, I think it's resistance or something. I'm not even sure what the proper term is, but you're adjusting it till you get certain numbers on this LED screen. And anyway, it's very complicated. I got it set after the 4th try. It seems to be running fine, but I also know that I ran it without this on there, and it seemed to run fine that way too. So I don't know what to think about that. But that was a major hassle. So that was hassle number 1 yesterday. Hassle number 2, after I got it done, we realized that this is pulling out up here. Can you see it? That is pulling out of the front hub. I don't have good lighting. But those splines that you see at the end of my finger should be inside that thing. What a mess. That's the front end. So now I've got bigger problems. Yeah, it's an old machine. It needs to be rebuilt. And, I rebuild pieces of it at a time. These are so crazy expensive, you can't afford to just buy another one. I mean, you're talking $15,000 to $25,000, depending on what you get. So, not interested in buying another one. And some of you are going to say, you're wasting your time. Buy another one. Well, yeah, send me some money. I'll be glad to. Yeah, it's crazy expensive to buy anything like that now. I think we paid something like $17,000 or something for that darn mule, and that was a ridiculous amount of money. They saw me come, and that was one. I bought the extended warranty, and that's what added a couple thousand to the price, but that paid off on the Polaris Ranger. It definitely paid off on that. I got my money out of that extended warranty. So I thought, well, I'll buy it on this mule too. But I don't know if it's going to pay off on the mule. But anyway, I don't plan to buy another one of these things. They're just crazy, ridiculous expensive. And they've gotten higher and higher over the last few years, too. I mean, like used ones are selling for what new ones were selling for 10 years ago, and I'm talking really used ones. Like I could probably sell this one and make some decent money on it, even in the shape it's in. But that's not near enough to go buy another one. So anyway, I'll just keep patching it together, I think, at least at this point. That's my plan. But, I spent $160 on that TPS tool, throttle position sensor tool. $160 for that tool, just to find out that if I just disconnect the stupid wire and run it that way, it seems to work just fine. Because I ran it that way yesterday afternoon. I didn't realize I was running it that way, but I thought, well, hey, it's working better than ever. It's not easy being me. That really just burns my... It just sucks. I took that thing off 4 times yesterday, put it back on. And the 4th time, I thought I had it just right. Well, I mean, actually, I had it right. It worked better each time. And the 3rd time, it worked pretty darn good, except that I couldn't get the throttle low enough. In other words, the idle was really fast. Everything else worked perfectly. It's just the idle was way too fast. Well, you had to take it apart again because you got to adjust that darn sensor if you're going to try to reduce the idle. It's just a mess. Because I had the idle down as low as I could get it the manual way, and it still wasn't low enough. So I took it apart that 4th time. Well, then I think the 4th time I forgot to plug it back in. And I drove it around, and I thought, dang, the idle's working. Everything's working. I just don't know. It's just not easy being me. Okay, well, here's problem number 2. Problem number 2 for yesterday was the laser cutter, this Creality laser cutter. Don't get me wrong, I think this thing is awesome. I can't wait to get it going, but that's the problem. I can't get it going. When I turn it on, as you can see there, it powers up, it does everything. It's connected via USB to the computer. So all that's good, but when you go into the computer, the USB part is not working. Let's go into the device manager, and let's expand that out so we don't have, and then you can look here under USB, we have an error, unknown USB device, and for sure that is the laser cutter. Can you see it there? So right there, unknown USB device. So I can't clear that error. The laser cutter will not talk to this computer. I don't know what to do about that. I've tried everything I can think of. So if anybody has a good suggestion, I know going back to the manufacturer, getting drivers, yes, I know all about all of that kind of stuff. Trust me, if it was simple, I'd already have it fixed. I can't figure it out. There's the only other possibility is this CH340 driver that seems to have something to do with these laser cutters and computers, but I haven't got into that yet. And I tried to download a CH340 driver, and that driver, you know, they always redirect you to 14 other downloads. And other things. You can't just find the darn driver clean and know that you're getting the proper thing. It's all people trying to scam you, you know, and so I don't know what to do about that. Anyway, that's where it sits right now. I can't get it to work, and I'm so anxious to get it to work because I got lots of projects I want to try to do with it. And it is a killer machine. It cuts much thicker material. So I'm really excited about it. It's a great machine. It just, something's not working properly. And I don't know if it's on my PC side or if somehow I may have screwed up this thing, because I tried to update the firmware in it, and it never did what it says it's supposed to do. When I put the firmware card in there, it says it was supposed to turn orange or something and then buzz the whole time and then stop buzzing and you know it's finished. Well, it never did any of that. So I don't know if this thing was defective from the factory or if I screwed it up or what. I just know it's not working. And so if anybody has a good idea or has a tip on that, I'd love to hear it, because I have run out of ideas. Yeah, it seems to be a hardware USB problem. Now, like I said, it could be that I basically bricked the laser when I tried to update the firmware. In other words, and if you don't know the term in computers, bricking means that it basically turns into a brick. It's just like as good as a brick is in terms of computing power, because you've messed it up. And so it's possible I messed it up by trying to update the firmware. I put the card in there and it just didn't do what it was supposed to do. Now, when I say I messed it up, I mean, it could have still been something from the factory that just wasn't right. And when I put the firmware in there, it just wouldn't read it right or something. I don't know. I just don't know. But I know for sure that it's not going to do anything until I clear that USB problem, because the computer has to understand what it is. And it doesn't understand what it is, which is why I think it may be bricked. If anybody has an idea that's, about the USB situation there and can figure out how to fix that or have an idea of something to try, I'm all ears. Don't tell me to just find the drivers from the Creality place, because trust me, that was the first thing I tried. I'm no dummy when it comes to this stuff. And the other thing I will say to this, and you can believe what you want, but 99 times out of 100, when I have a problem on a computer, it's usually something nobody else has ever seen. And I mean like never. And it happens to me all the time. And again, you believe what you want. It's that Rosa thing. It happens to me all the time. And it's always something that nobody else has ever run into. And I've searched the internet up and down, sideways, every way you can search it, and I haven't seen this problem. So if you can find this problem and send it to me, I would think I might send you $50. Anyway, moving on. Here's problem number 3. Well, let's look at this first thing together here. See the shipping box? That, I showed you this before, that chair that this company sent me was damaged in shipping. Well, let's go on to the next video. And the final thing that was giving me all kinds of issues yesterday was this chair. Now, don't misunderstand me. I think this chair is pretty awesome, actually. I really like it, but the shipping caused all kinds of problems. The shipping broke this piece here and broke it pretty badly, actually. In fact, let me see if I can show it to you. I don't know if you can see what I did, but you can see here that all of this was broke out, and it was broken badly. I mean, like real bad. And to the point where this stretched material had crunched this all down. It was, deformed. So I had to stretch it back out. I found the pieces. I put the pieces back in there, glued them in place, and then I plastic welded them with some extra plastic. And it seems to be fine. At least I got that done. The shipping also lost the third piece that goes up here. There's you can see 2 screws here. Well, there's supposed to be a headrest up there, and that's missing. Other than that, it's pretty darn fine. I really like the chair. I'm really very happy with it, in fact. And Sue sat in it. She goes, wow, I really like it. I will say that the directions that come with it are pretty much worthless. They're so tiny you can't see the detail. It tells you to put this seat on first, and really the seat should go on after this piece, in my opinion. At least in my order of operations, putting that on first makes this better to align it up. And then you can put the top piece on. So in my opinion, putting that on first is a mistake because it doesn't tell you which holes to put it in. And if you put it back too far, then you can't get that piece on. Just your typical instruction problem. But the chair itself, I really do like. And these armrests are completely adjustable. You can raise them up. And once you get it all the way up, you can push it back down. But anywhere you push it in between, they also slide. Let's see, they slide out. You can slide them out this way. They will turn this way if you prefer to fit your arm. Whatever works. So it's a very adjustable chair. I like it a lot. It rolls easy. I'm going to talk to the people that sent it to me and explain what the problems were and see how they want me to proceed with the video.
Yeah. If you ever have something that's plastic that broke and you want to weld it back together, it's really not that difficult. In fact, all you need is a soldering iron. And I said soldering iron. Now, I know in other countries they say soldering, and that's just perfectly fine. I don't care how you say it. I just want to know if you know what to do with it. That's all I care about. And so you take a soldering iron, and you can just, first of all, you want to make sure it's clean, get, any lead and junk off of it. And you can clean it with paper towel or whatever, and after it's hot, And then you just melt your plastic, and then you can feed other plastic into the melt and just keep mixing it together basically, and then smooth it out as best you can. You can weld plastic back together. It's not very difficult at all. And what you can use for extra plastic is zip ties. You can use zip ties to feed in there, and they can be like your welding rods. If you were welding steel, you can use zip ties like your welding rod, and zip ties come in a lot of colors, so there's a chance you can match the color pretty close, And so welding plastic is really much easier than I ever thought. And one thing you can do on welding plastic is take a little piece of screen wire, like regular door screen wire, and, cut out a piece that's a little wider than the crack. And then you take your soldering iron and you melt it down into the plastic, and then you feed other plastic over the top of it and cover it up. Now, I did not use wire on this, and I should have, because just minutes before we went live, I pushed back real hard on it, and I broke it. I can feel it broke right there again. So I'm probably going to have to take that little lumbar part off and go back down there and weld it back again. I mean, there's a chance the company will send me a new one anyway. I don't know, but I figure in the meantime, I could just go down there and weld it up. It only takes a few minutes, so it's not a big deal. But anyway, I just thought I'd pass that on to you, that you can weld your own plastic. It's really not very difficult to do. Let's see. I think that covers everything I was going to cover this morning. And we have a lot of comments, 156 viewers at the moment. Eddie Turner was the first one there, John Pepper, and then David Tharp says, "Good morning, Jerry and friends. On my way to the VA hospital in St. Louis this morning. Jerry, did you receive the crazy arrangement?" Oh, I thought this was going to end up being a joke like it usually is, but no, so apparently he is going to the hospital. I hope everything's okay. And no, well, I mean, I may have. I was so busy yesterday, I didn't check anything. We've played it before. I think Gary knows how to play it. I really don't know the arrangement on it, but Crazy's not an easy song. It's a complicated song. Donald Matthews, good morning. Itchy Boots posted an update. Yeah, I saw that. And she's selling her book. She's on a little book tour and doing well. She's recovering very well. She said she's still having a little trouble breathing, not getting full breaths type thing. Punctured her lung. I just can't even imagine that. Just, a broken collarbone and they puncture her lung. I just wonder how that happened. David Tharp, I talked to a girl who said she got fired from her job just because she put her hair in a bun. I asked her where she worked. She said Burger King. I knew it was coming. I knew that one was coming. Let's see. Moving on down here. Dottie's got question marks. Praying for the Rosa group. Thank you, Dottie. Can you pray for my laser cutter? And my Ranger in my chair. It's just not going easy, man. I'm telling you. And like if that was the only problems, I'd think I was on top of the world. There's so many things there's so many things that need so much attention around here. And hay season's about to start, and JR was tying up my workshop yesterday with the balers and things like that. So I've kind of washed my hands of it this year. It's up to him. If he wants to do hay, he can do hay. I'm just pretty much not going to get too involved. More than likely, I'll get involved when the machines tear up. But short of that, I'm not planning to do too much on the hay front this year. Dottie says, Eddie, thank you so much for telling which video to watch to tie a strap for my mandolin. Well, yeah, and thanks to Carolyn for tying it. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's how I do it. It's just I just make a hangman's noose on each end, and they don't turn loose. That's why they use hangman's nooses. They don't turn loose for a good reason. But anyway, they're real adjustable too. You can slide them up and down, and like I said, if you have a kid that wants to play your mandolin, you can slide it up, and it shortens the strap really quickly and very easily for the kid, So that's why I like it. Plus, the main reason, like I've said millions of times, is you can put it in the case and you don't have to worry about it. It's just real simple. Real simple. Dottie says, looking forward to my first lesson to learn to play the mandolin. Thank you, Jerry. Well, you're welcome, and I think it'll be fun. I think people that tune into it, especially if you're a newbie, especially if you've maybe only been playing a year or something like that, I think you'll get a lot out of it. If you've been playing a long time, I still think you could potentially get something out of it, but, like I said, there's that snobby thing once gets going. Once you learn how to play a mandolin really well, there is a bunch of snobbish stuff out there. I'm seriously telling you. I think it's worse on mandolin than it is on anything. And that's why I don't do the forums. They just turn my stomach. David Tharp, Dottie, I purchased Jerry's mandolin course for my grandson. He has been devouring it, and I'm amazed at how much he has learned. Thanks, Jerry. Well, good. I've said it a gazillion times, and it sounds like I'm patting on myself on the back and trying to sell my product. I don't care if anybody buys the darn product. I'm telling you because I'm trying to help you, and you do what you want. I could give a rip. But in terms of teaching kids, it especially works for kids. And the reason I think it works for kids is because I just tell, they listen to adults. Like you tell them. The first thing I tell them when I'm doing a face-to-face lesson with a kid, the first thing I tell them is this is way easier than everybody tells you it is. Music is really actually super simple. And adults look at you like, yeah, right, sure. I'm telling you, it is. And it really is if you can just forget Everything else you already know. And that's the hard part for an adult. Adults can't do that. Kids will listen to you and do exactly what you tell them, and then all you see is their taillights leaving. And they pass me up so fast that it actually bugs me a little bit how fast they pass me up. And they pass me up quick. I'm talking 6 months to a year. They're doing stuff I can't do. It's amazing. It's just amazing. So anyway, if you guys listen to these lessons and can put away what you know, just forget it and just try to learn it like I show you, I think you'll be thanking me. I really do. It's really hard to do that as an adult. It's the hardest thing that you'll ever try as an adult when it comes to learning something, is to forget what you already know, because you can't hardly do it. You always have to compare it. Well, that's not how I do it. That's the question I get when I teach adults. Well, I thought I was supposed to do it this way. No, just listen to what I'm telling you and just do it this way. And it's just hard for an adult to do that. And especially a good mandolin player won't listen to anything I tell them. There's no way. They think I'm a hack. Because it's completely different than what they learned and how they learned. So there you go. Dottie Hildebrand. See, I'm not necessarily trying to create the best musician in the world. I'm just trying to create musicians. And if you just learn the way I teach you, it's the simplest way you'll ever learn. And it does create super musicians too. It really does. I mean, Joe Dean, that played banjo for Doyle Lawson, Jenny Vaughn, who was just, 10 years old when she started. She ended up winning the open mic competition down at, Silver Dollar City, and those are single mic competition, I think is what it's called. And that's when they were having the competition pretty much every year. And they were good bands down there, and she ended up winning that. So, and then I've had two other brother and sister that ended up getting the booking to open for all the national acts that came into Wildwood Springs Lodge, and I taught them, with the same method. So it's a good method. It's just not the standard method. It's definitely not the standard method. Let's see. Moving on. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, Eddie is the guy to ask if you want to find something on my vlogs or videos. Trust me. He sent it to me, but shoot, Eddie, I've already lost that too. So it's, and it's not that don't bother sending it to me again, because I'll just lose it again. I don't know. I'm just unorganized these days. I got too many irons in the fire, pulling too many directions. Let's see, moving on down, looking for the question marks here. Yeah, it looks like mostly private conversations, I think. David's wondering if he can get a bigger percentage of disability just for being crazy. Well, I don't know if I can comment on that. You might be able to. Let's see. Bill Rhodes, good morning, everybody, from Warrenton, Missouri. And Bill Mumbo, everybody, hope you are well. Watched yesterday on Catch Up. Had hospital appointment, cataract post, all good. Can drive again. Wow, that's good. Yeah, that cataract surgery has been life-changing for lots of people. My daughter had that surgery, LASIK or something like that, where you don't have to wear glasses or whatever. And she really liked it and said it worked really well for her. But I'm telling you, that's kind of stuff that scares the tar out of me, because, it'll either go really good or it won't, And I'm not too sure I'd be willing to take the risk. I have quit wearing my glasses. I haven't worn them now for about a year. back when I was first diagnosed with needing glasses, he was a very reputable eye doctor in the St. Louis area. His name was Eagleton, I think, or Eagleston. I'm not really sure. It was a long time ago. But everything he ever predicted about my eyes has come true. He said, when you're 40, you're going to need reading glasses. And I swear to you, and I'm not, I had completely forgot he had said that. The day I turned 40, I was up in the shop, and I completely forgot about that. And I was looking at something, working on something, and I'm going, man, I can't see that real good. So I put on some reading glasses, and sure enough, I could see it. And then I remembered he had said that, But and then he also told me, he says, when you get into your 60s, late 60s, you probably won't need glasses at all. And I don't. Because he said it was the kind of problem I had with my eye, and I mean, I would be lying if I said it's absolutely perfectly clear, but it's pretty good. It's really not bad. And this is my opinion, and I'm only expressing an opinion about people that wear glasses. My opinion is that before you go in and get your eyes examined, like to get a new prescription or whatever, my opinion is that you should not wear your glasses at all any more than you absolutely have to. Of course, if you're driving, you have to. But I'm saying you should leave your glasses off as much as possible before you go back in for that next prescription, because your eyes get used to your glasses and you'll always need a stronger prescription, and then you need a stronger prescription. So for me, whenever I would go back in to get my eyes examined, I would always not wear my glasses for 2 or 3 days before I went in. And unfortunately, my eyes weren't so bad that I could get away with that. But I know not everybody can get away with that. But I would say wear them as least amount that you can, especially right up before the appointment. And you'll find that your eyes won't be as bad and won't need as strong a prescription. Again, it's totally opinion, but I'm pretty sure it's true. My prescription actually never changed my whole life, from the time I was in my 20s till the time I was, till the time I quit wearing my glasses. Ronald Todd, Itchy Boots is back. Yep, we talked about that. She is definitely... Well, and it scrolled on me, and now I got to find that comment back so I can go on from there. Oh, I don't know where it went. Oh, it moved a long way. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. Russell Allen, have you contacted Creality about the problems with your machine? Well, I'd be lying if I said yes, because I didn't, but I've contacted the guy that sent the machine to me, and he just instantly said, he says, oh, you're using the wrong software. You can't use that software. You have to use a different software. Well, it ain't got nothing to do with which software I'm using. I'm wanting to use Lightburn. He says you have to use Lightburn with the Mac, and you use this Laser Gerbil with the PC. Well, I tried Laser Gerbil, and that didn't work either. And I knew it wouldn't, because it's not a software problem. Again, I'm not your average dummy when it comes to computers. I design systems for a living, and I did break fix on PCs and Macs for about 5 years. So I know all about this stuff. I'm not the expert's expert anymore, because I haven't been around it that much, but I'm no dummy on it either. So when I have a problem like this, you can pretty much bet it's a tough problem. It's not a simple one. I'd already have it fixed. So if you've got a good idea, somebody, let me know. I'll go back to Creality. The problem with going back to Creality is just like all these different companies. You can't ever get a hold of anybody. They always put you on some stupid recording or, refer you to the typical questions asked. And mine are never the typical questions asked. There never are when I have a problem. So you can't find it there. Gary Smythe from the UK says, Jerry, my first suggestion would be to try another computer. I am going to try that, but that's a hassle. It's a real hassle, but I am going to try that. I thought of that too, and I don't think it was talking to this computer either. I had it up here on this computer first, and it didn't seem to be working up here. At that point, though, I had not identified what the real problem is as being a USB problem. So there's still a chance it might work up here. I don't know. It's just a pain to move it around and, connect it up and all that. Let's see. I didn't read the rest of it. It's something about, let's see. It could be a class of Peter's out. My first guess would be hide glue on the packaging. It wouldn't surprise me about that. Rubbish Guitar Bloke. Jerry, was the USB data cable supplied with the laser, or are you using your own cable? I tried, well, quite honestly, the one that was supplied ended up getting damaged. And I moved the laser a little bit and didn't realize that cord was tight, and it pulled it sideways and messed that cable up. But I've tried 2 or 3 different USB cables. USB cables are supposed to be USB cables. They're not supposed to, that's the purpose of them. Universal is the idea, and so they should work. And I've tried several, and nothing's made a difference. Yeah. It's just a typical C USB cable, so it shouldn't be the cable. It shouldn't. I mean, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying it shouldn't. If they made a proprietary USB cable, that would be pretty stupid. So anyway, and if they did that, you can bet I'll call them out on that on the video, which I don't think they did, but you never know. But it did break. I can't use that cable. In fact, I already threw it away because it pulled the connector around sideways and messed it up. David Tharp, Jerry, maybe, by the way, the cable they supplied with it was about that long. And I'm not kidding. It was, well, I'm exaggerating. It was 3 foot long. I mean, like 3 foot, that ain't nothing. You can't do nothing with 3 foot on a machine like that. I couldn't even connect that from that machine down to my PC. There's no way, with a 3 foot cable. And that's why it ended up bending it. Moving on. David Tharp. Jerry, maybe in your spare time you could make a tutorial demonstrating the plastic welding. Yeah, I think I might have done that once. I'm not really sure if I did or not, but that's a good idea. Yeah. And well, actually, I did do video of me fixing this chair, but like I told you, I didn't put the screen in it, and it was holding just fine until about a minute before we went live, and then I really pushed back hard on it, and I heard it crack, so I know I need to put the screen in there. But the plastic welding does work pretty good. It's not very difficult to do. And like I said, just take a soldering iron and do it. Or your soldering iron if you prefer. But I would just use a soldering iron if it was me. Simon Jardine. Morning, Jerry. When you fit fencing, do you use wooden posts? If you do you cap them? No, we don't generally cap them. And we do use some wooden posts, and we use some, steel posts also for horses and things. The riding ring down there, we made them out of wooden posts, and, I knew they were going to rot off. They were junk posts. They bought them cheap. They got them at that was before I had my sawmill. They bought them at a sawmill. They weren't treated or anything. I think we might have dipped them in oil or something. I don't remember now. But anyway, they're really bad now. They all need to be replaced. If I was going to do that, if I was going to replace them, and I might one of these days, I would probably cut cedar posts and just use cedar as the post. And they will wear out eventually too, but cedar lasts a long time in the ground. Bill Webb, Ben, I just sold my Savannah F-style mandolin and case for $135. I wish I had known you were looking for one. Yeah, I don't have any that I would sell at this time, so unfortunately I can't help you out. And mine might be out of your price range anyway. Ben Boyd, Jerry, I'm sure you've already done this, but if not, reboot both of the laser and the computer. Yeah, I've done that a gazillion times, actually. Tried different cable. Yeah, and I've tried that bunch of times. And like you said, a different computer is an option. I need to try that yet again, but I kind of don't think that's going to fix it either at this point. I actually think, I really believe that the laser itself is bricked. I really think it is. Though it does turn on and do what it says it's supposed to do. It does turn on and home, so maybe not. I just don't know what the problem is. But like you said, a different computer is probably the best test right now, and I do need to do that. And yeah, I'll do that after we're done here. I'll try it. And I hope it fixes it. I really do. But then again, that aggravates me because I've got that computer sitting there, and that's the one I want to use. So anyway, Sidecar Bob, not all plastics are compatible for welding. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. If you use the wrong filler, it won't bond, and it will, yeah, right. Yeah, I get that, Bob. But generally speaking, most things are going to work. It's not, you'll just have to try it. I mean, it's not going to cost you anything to try it. That's all I can tell you. If you can use the same kind of plastic, obviously that's the best option. Let's see. Jeff Pierce, on the forums and chats, 49% of the people are nuts. 49% of the people act like they are nuts. And that only leaves 2% passing on good information. Yeah, you know what it really is for me, Jeff? It's, from my perspective, I mean, what you said there's true. I agree with what you're saying. But the way I define it is that there's usually 3 or 4 people, sometimes only 2 or 3. I mean, there's just a few at the top of that forum, and those guys rule the roost. And if you say anything that doesn't fit their philosophy, then you're just an idiot. And I used to have people all the time telling me, do you know what they're saying about you on Mandolin Cafe? And and I was like, I don't care what they're saying about me. Just let them knock themselves out. I could give a rip. It doesn't bother me in the least. But it's usually like that. It's that snobbish thing. It's that I'm the one that knows this. You don't know, that kind of thing. And it's just the way it is with especially mandolin players. I'm seriously telling you, it's really bad. I don't really consider myself to be a mandolin player. That's why I don't have that attitude. I just beat on it and make a lot of noise. And that's the other thing you're going to learn in the lesson is that if you make a mistake, play louder. That's the because they think, well, surely he wouldn't play that loud if he didn't know what he was doing. That's your whole philosophy. It's all psychological. Bruce Moore, Jerry, have you ever considered burning bales of straw? I guess it's supposed to be bales of straw in your furnace. I know nothing about it, but I heard it works. Well, yeah. Of course, straw is not cheap anymore. It's really expensive. So it would probably work, but we don't have any straw, obviously, here on the farm to bale. And, the hay that we have, they use all of the hay that we can produce. So there's not too many options along that line, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. And if we had it, we would try it for sure. Larry Fisher, Jerry, have you seen YouTube video on Sierra Hull playing with Sam Bush at 9 years old on PBS? Wow. I don't know if I've seen that specific one, but I've seen a lot of videos with Sierra Hull and playing with like Allison Krauss and different people. And, she played with Ricky Skaggs and just a whole bunch of people I've seen her play with. I don't know if I saw the one with Sam Bush or not. I can't recall that one. Probably did somewhere along the line. Payday 1963. The sharp edge of a broken clavicle can puncture the upper portion of the lung. Doubt it was the surgeon's fault. Well, she kind of indicated that it was. Now, that's the way she indicated. I don't know that that's what she meant, but that's the way she made it sound, like they punctured her lung. So I don't know. I don't know, but I don't doubt that what you're saying either, that it could happen from the brake itself. I don't doubt that a bit. Ben Boy, there's some question marks there. It says, oh, he's telling someone to put question marks in front of your comment. Okay. And then Howdy says, hello, Jerry. How many M&M millimeters from the top of your mandolin to the bottom of your strings at the bridge? Mine sounds like mine are a bit high. Well, the answer is I don't know. I never measure stuff like that. I just have a jig that sets the neck at the proper angle, and therefore the bridge is generally at the same height. I don't know. I'd have to measure it. I just don't know. Let's see. And I don't have anything handy to measure with here, or I would do it right now, but I just don't know. I'll try to remember and see if we can do it tomorrow in the vlog, but me remembering is a different thing. Bill Mumbo, distance vision, excellent. May need glasses for reading, Jerry. Yeah. It's, I right now I'm pretty good even for reading. I mean, I'm reading the screen as, and the screen's arm length away. I can read it. It's reasonably small. Let's see. Rod Wentler, Jerry, could the USB socket have pulled loose from the board in the laser cutter? Well, that's a thought. It's not a bad thought, because, like I said, I pulled on that thing, and it, by accident. I didn't do it on purpose, obviously, and it pulled it with their little 3-foot cord that they supplied. Bruce Ducker, Jerry, you might try unplugging necessary stuff from the computer. Might be in the conflict with the laser. And yeah, I've kind of tried most of that already. Didn't seem to help much, but I get where you're coming from. That does happen sometimes. Yep. Ben Boyd, Mark wants to know what guitar strings you recommend, but he isn't pouring question marks before his comment. The guitar strings, are just like mandolin strings or any other strings. Well, banjo would be an exception probably. But for your guitars, 12 strings, 6 strings, mandolins, I pretty much always recommend phosphor bronze strings. They work for the greatest number of people. Now, metals will react to your skin. And like standard bronze and me, they go dead in a heartbeat. It's because the metal is reacting to my skin, and they just go dead quickly. Phosphor bronze typically lasts a very long time for just about anybody. Now, coated strings will last even longer. But the problem is that, in my opinion, and again, it's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it, coated strings don't sound that great on day one, in my opinion, compared to phosphor bronze strings. But on day 25, coated strings sound better, perhaps, than the phosphor bronze. So, you know what I'm saying? They will outlast the uncoated phosphor bronze, but the coated strings don't sound as good on day one, in my opinion. I like that real good, crisp sound that you get from the phosphor bronze. So does it matter who makes them? In my opinion, not very much. If all things are equal, if they're phosphor bronze, not vintage bronze, not some other weird kind of bronze, if they're phosphor bronze, and if the gauges are the same, then I don't think anybody listening to this comment could tell the difference in a blind test between GHS, Diodario, Martin, or any of those other companies, as long as everything's the same. Now, when you start futzing around with the different things, sure, you can tell the difference. So there you go. So it doesn't really matter to me what brand. I'm typically recommending lights most of the time now. Not 100%, but 80% of the time, I'm recommending lights, that you try them at least. Now, I don't mean extra light. That's too light, but your standard light strings. And I can't remember the gauges off the top of my head. If I say them, I'll get it wrong, so I'm not going to say it. And it scrolled on me here, so I'm trying to find where I'm at again. Professor says, USB-C cables are anything but universal, Jerry. Even USB 3 type cables are very greatly in quality. Well, quality I don't disagree with, but the data they pass should be the same, assuming that you're using modern stuff. And the modern C cables are all fairly new, within the last, 5 years or something, or 10 years, I don't know. But anyway, I get it. There's different classes of things, but, it should work. It just should work. Bill Mumbo, Chicanic uses a plastic welder that has wire clips that heat up, and you sink them into the plastic and uses them to repair body work on saws, mowers, etc. Yeah, I've seen that too. But, a poor man's solution is just use some screen wire, and it'll work just fine. You can even embed just little pieces of wire itself across the crack and melt them in. Anything to reinforce the crack is really all it amounts to. And then just melt your plastic and run it back over the top of it and smooth it out with your soldering iron. And, I before I knew how to weld plastic, I went ahead and bought one of those cheap plastic welders at Harbor Freight, I think it was, and I didn't need to buy that. I mean, any soldering iron would work. It's just, that's all that plastic welder thing is, except that it has a flat head on it, so it's easier to manipulate. But you could do it with a soldering iron, I'm sure. Let's see. Simon says, thanks, Professor, because I have a fire stick and I couldn't get it work till I tried 3 different cables. Yeah, I've had issues like that also, but trust me, I've already tried quite a few different cables, and it doesn't seem to be a cable problem. So, anyway. Howdy says, it is your cable. Check on the PlayStation 4 controller. Have the same. Okay. Let's see. I'm not saying that my problem is not a cable problem. I'm not saying anything like that, because right now I don't know what the problem is. But I do know I've tried a multitude of cables, and every time I get the same error. So I'm just going to go that it's some other problem right now. I just don't know what it is. It could just be that darn computer itself. It could just, like you said, it may need to try a different computer. Jerry, have a great mandolin style. It's a unique style I wished I could learn, but my stubby fingers, no way. That's Jerry Freeze there. He was at our jam down there in Mountain View. Yeah, I always say that my style is I just play real loud. That's pretty much my style. That's pretty much the whole thing. Blackjack guitar. Jerry, those USB cables are different. You might have to get another one. Cheers. Well, I've got some pretty good ones, I would think. I don't know. I've bought a bunch of them over the years. I've probably got 15 or 20 of them laying around here, and I try to buy the best quality I can buy, so I don't know. I've tried a bunch of them. Like I said, generally, if it's a simple problem, I've already fixed it, and I don't think it's just a simple cable problem. I really don't. I mean, it could be. I'm still not saying 100% because obviously I don't know. But if it turns out to be a cable, by gosh, I'll sure tell you. I doubt that's going to be the problem, though. Simon says, I was wondering if the yank on the cable may have elongated the socket And that could be, somebody else mentioned that, and that could be the problem. I mean, it's definitely worth looking at. Problem is now I've got the dumb thing inside that enclosure, and you know me, I always try to do things a little extra, and I screwed the enclosure down to that board that I have it sitting on so it wouldn't be, I hated that enclosure. It was very lightweight and it would flop around and move in the, so I screwed it down to the board. Now I got to unscrew it, and because you can't even see the darn connector without getting to the side of the machine. So it's just another thing to try, but I'll give it a shot. I didn't notice any damage on the actual port though, but it's possible it could be. Gary Hayden, Jerry is, I saw Don Brown's Gibson was in for repairs at McClanahan's. He redid the neck joint. Yeah, that was several months ago actually. He said it was number 2 of the top lowers. It's in the top 2 of lowers, he says. Yeah, I've said that a number of times in the past, and I didn't, when I told people years ago, even that I took it apart and all my mandolins were built on that. Just for the record again, I only took the back off. I had nothing to do with the neck. The back kept pulling off the instrument. And he had sent it back to Gibson like 3 times, and all they kept doing was daubing more hide glue in there, and it just wouldn't hold. And it would only last a month or a few days, and it would break again. And, Don kept, for about a year, he kept trying to get me to take it. I said, ain't no way, I ain't touching it, And finally, he just put it in my car, and he says, son, I know you'll fix it. Well, I told him, I said, well, I'm going to take it apart. Take a Lloyd Loar mandolin apart? Are you nuts? I mean, that's what he said to me. I said, well, I can daub glue in there if you prefer. And I said, it'll last about the same amount of time that it lasted from Gibson. Or I can take it apart and fix it, and you'll never have a problem with that again. He says, take it apart. So I took it apart. I fixed it. He never had a problem with it again. The fact that the hide glue has released on the neck joint, that's just what hide glue does. I can't help you with that. So that's what McClanahan's fixing. And of course, he's using hide glue back in the joint again, and it's going to do it again in another 30 or 40 years. It'll do it again. It's just the way it works. And, McClanahan did a wonderful job. I'm not picking on McClanahan. If you were doing a Lloyd Loar mandolin and you on video and you didn't use hide glue, they would eat you alive. Eat you alive. And I mean seriously eat you alive. You would be the biggest, stupidest moron on the planet if you didn't use hide glue on it. I wouldn't have used hide glue. So there you go. Because when I fix something, I don't want it to break again. Why would you want that neck joint to break again? I don't know, but apparently they do. But anyway, I was where I started with that was I've told people back when I took it apart that it was the best sounding Lloyd Loar, and I don't even put it in the top 2. I say it's the best sounding because I've heard it next to Bill's, face to face in person. I've heard it played next to Bill's. It blows Bill's away. Blows it away. Doesn't even get close. It's the best Loar there ever was, in my opinion. And not because my uncle owned it, just because it is. It's just a fact. That's my opinion. And I'm sticking to it. Because I've actually heard a lot of Loars. I've had a number of them in the shops over the years. Most all of them came before YouTube. The reason they don't come to me after YouTube is because they know I'm not going to use hide glue on them. There you go. Sidecar Bob, have you seen the hot staples they sell for mending plastic? Not really, no. Well, maybe I have. I've seen something like that in a video or two, but I can't recall what it was that I saw. I've welded with soldering guns since 70s, but I'm thinking about getting a hot staple tool. Oh, okay. No, I haven't. I don't think I've seen that tool. I don't think. So that might be cool. A rubbish guitar bloke. He's got a hand up, Jerry. Okay, maybe I should stop. Is that what you're saying? Did you say that a flash update failed on the laser? If so, you need to sort as the first priority. Well, I didn't say it failed. I said it didn't do what they said it would do. And yeah, I agree. I've told the people at Creality that happened, and they're telling me I'm using the wrong software. We can't even get to the software. They're talking about, the actual software that drives the laser. I'm not even that far yet. I can't get that far to the software because the computer doesn't recognize the laser, let alone the software. And of course, I've tried the software, and none of the software works with the laser. And that's because the USB doesn't recognize it as anything legitimate. So there's where the problem is somewhere. And like I said, it could be that I bricked it. That's what my point is of saying that I bricked it. The flash update didn't work, and maybe it bricked it. I kind of don't think that's the real problem. I kind of don't, just based on lots of experience with this stuff. I think the machine's still working. I think it's some other conflict type problem. It's probably something stupid like a driver of some sort. But man, can you find anybody that knows anything about that? Not me. I can't. Freeze. I don't. Does that mean the enclosure doesn't get a thumbs up or down in terms of that lightweight enclosure? Well, the enclosure's fine. It's just that, me, I want to take it an extra step. I want to anchor the enclosure still. I don't like it flopping around. That's just not my style. So I just put a couple screws in it. It only took a second, and then it doesn't move. And I actually had to drill holes in the little plastic part of the enclosure down in the corners and just put 2 little wood screws in there, and bingo, it's solid. It can't move now. Let's see. Spiral flash. Taking a lower apart is how Jerry learned to make a Rosa mandolin. Well, yeah, Mama didn't raise a fool. I measured it in thousands of inches everywhere, and I carved all of my mandolins to within 1,000th of an inch of that. And I'm seriously telling you, and you think, well, how do you know you're 1,000th? I measured it with the calipers and measured it very carefully. And I get them within 1,000th of an inch. And that's why my mandolins are very loud, because that lower I took apart was crazy loud. And, you might think that it's symmetrical. Well, they're not exactly symmetrical. They're hand carved, and that's why that lower is different than some of the other lowers. It's because they're hand done. They didn't have a machine to duplicate them exactly to the exact. But my hands, with my tools and my scrapers and my calipers, I can duplicate it exactly like it was. And that's how I build mine. All of mine are built exactly like that mandolin. That's why they all sound so much alike. Everybody says all my mandolins sound alike. Well, they do, because they sound just like that. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you how I did it. It's just a fact. Those are just facts. You can believe what you want and take it anywhere you want to take it. Let's see. And so to answer your question about the thumbs up on that enclosure, I don't have a problem with the enclosure at all. I think it's fine. It's okay. I'm not crazy about the zipper, but that's just me. I would prefer to have a lid, but it's not bad. So I could give the enclosure a thumbs up itself, but I like it better now that it doesn't move around. The to the point is, as if you have front USB ports, don't use them on your computer to connect anything. They're port on the main board in the back. Yeah, I've tried all the different ports on the computer. I've tried the ones on the top. I've tried the ones on the back. And it's just, and I've tried multiple places on the back. There's a bunch of ports on that machine, and I've tried them all. I've tried the USB 3. I've tried the USB 2. Trust me, guys, on stuff like that, the common sense stuff, you can't I don't think you'll ever come up with something I haven't tried. I haven't tried a different computer other than the fact that I had it up on this computer and it didn't work up here either. So I kind of think, but at that point, I had not identified the specific problem. So I still need to try another computer, though, and see if I get the same exact problem. And if I do, then it's probably on the machine itself, I would say. But I don't know that for sure yet. To the point, not all USB ports have true seamless interrupt handling. Sometimes just changing a port can make a difference. Just my opinion. Yeah. And like I said, I've tried every port on that machine and on this machine too. So and both of these machines have a lot of USB ports. And I've tried them all and none of them work. So change the USB cable, Michael says. Well, I think we've talked about that a few times, and I've changed a bunch of cables. I've probably tried a half dozen cables on it already, and not a bit of difference. My money is on the USB socket. Well, it could be. That wouldn't surprise me. That's probably the best guess at this point, is the USB socket on the machine. That is a possibility. So I will go down there and try to inspect that. I'll actually get a magnifier and look inside and see if any of the little wires inside there are the little flat wires, they're where the cable plugs in. I'll look and see if any of those are messed up, and they could be. It's probably the best option right now. That's probably what it is. I hadn't really thought about that, but it makes sense. Yep, I would say the best option right now is probably the USB socket and possibly a different computer, but I don't think the computer's the issue. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for the ideas and the help and suggestions, and we'll see you tomorrow with something else, and I hope when we see you tomorrow, that thing's going to be working. We'll let you know tomorrow. See you then.